All right, guys. So we have bird wasp. Okay. In our book, we're going to call it just wasp. Bird is the front. It's really the under front. And then we can also call it eagle if the strong side defensive end is in a head up technique on the tackle. All right. But what we're getting here is a double call with the coverage. It's either going to be quads versus by two formations. So 2x2 and 3x2. All right. Or it's either going to be Sally Rose, which is a rotational cover three defense. All right. So we're going to use cover three seam to start out with this. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to end up blitzing one of the inside linebackers. Usually it's always the jack linebacker with Wasp. Okay. He's going to blitz the A gap away from really if it's cover three, he's going to be blitzing opposite of the rotation of the coverage. So it becomes a simulated pressure. Um, and what we're going to do is hopefully be sound against the run and also against the pass. We might get the jack coming through. All right. So any by two formation. So if I'm talking 2x1, that's not a by two formation. 2x2 is okay. But any 2x2 formations so let's start here on this one. Okay, we're going to play quarters. In the game, we're just going to call 34 odd and quarters. And if you know 34 odd quarters actually sends one of the linebackers. We just have to make sure that the front is sound so that we are going through the A gap. Now, in this picture here, you actually see that the front is actually aligned in bird front, which is the under front. But in the game, we're going to use 3-4 odd because it's just easier for us to get in and out of that front. What we're going to end up doing is I'll show you on the field how we're going to get the D line to go where we want. All right. And we're going to have to make the adjustment really with just making sure we get the D line to go in the direction that we want. And then the jack's going to come through. We're going to slant them outside. Okay. So that's how we're going to get to that spot. Coverage wise, we're playing quarters. Okay. So now let's go to another formation. Let's go to this 3x1 formation. Okay. So all other formations, we're just going to play now uh, Sally and Rose, which is just a three-man cover three. What we're going to do here is use our cover three seam rules because most of the coverage here is flat oriented. I see seam flat here. There is a buzz flat here. That's fine. We'll talk about that in a second. But we're just going to use cover three seam on this one. We're not going to mix it up with cover three sky. Okay. But you can if you want. Now, the rotation here is a little bit funky, but it's similar to how we're going to work pillow. Okay. If there's number two is attached, so he's in the core, he's a wing, or he has his hand in the dirt. Okay. We're going to take the strong side linebacker to the side of the down safety and put him into a hard flat. Okay. If this is a 3x1 formation like this, when number two is walked out, okay, we're going to let the safety just come down to his curl flat or seam flat. All right. And we're going to take this outside linebacker, all right, to the side of the down safety and just put him in a vertical hook. Okay. So that's how it looks. So it'll make more sense when we get on the field. But what you're doing is you're sending four. Okay. And then also, just so you know, um, yeah, so we should be fine there. I think we're good. All right, let's jump onto the Madden field. Let's take a look at this play, and it should be pretty clear. And really, what we're trying to do here is just really get that nice little pressure against the run and also the pass. It should make it a little bit easier to stop inside run, but we should be good. All right, I'll see you on the Madden field. All right, let's work on Wasp and B, which is really going to be pretty simple. If it's a by two formation, you're going to run the quarters play outside. It's pretty much set up for you. All right, let's take a look at it. The one thing you have to do is just make sure that you are putting the linebacker that's running through A gap into the A gap. So just come out versus a 2x2 set. See, naturally, when you look at the assignments, you have one of the linebackers going to B gap, right? And that's not what we want. That's actually B. We want to work Wasp. All right. So in order to get that, if you flip the defense, all right, then the opposite linebacker will run through the A gap. All right. It's a 2x2 formation. I'm not going to stress about the run strength here. We just want it to look like this. All right. So everybody else is going to do their assignment. It's gonna be pretty easy. Are you gonna get an instant sack here? No, that's not really the goal. But sometimes, in practice mode, or sometimes if you mix it in there, it works out for you. So going back to how often do we do this? Well, this is a sometimes call. This is a once or twice a game call that you use. Maybe after you've seen them run a certain number of plays, or you think it's going to be a run or pass that you can use this for. All right. It will scare probably most users, to be honest with you, just by calling it. Now, the other way is a little more complicated. It's going to take a little more reps. If you want to run this play versus any other formation, so let's just go versus a pro set, right? Now it's not necessarily quarters, it's going to be cover three. All right. So you have to call cover three seam. All right. And the rules are the linebacker to the down safety, you're going to put him, okay, into a vertical hook. I speak in this manner because I tried to use the verbiage of Sam and Will. When you're playing a game and guys are technically not always the Sam and not always the Will, it's kind of hard to think that way for me. So I just looked at it from outside linebacker to the down safety side. So this guy's the down safety. Take the outside linebacker here and just put him into a vertical hook. Now, one thing also, guys, is start using the global changes. So for linebackers, it's you press the left stick to the right 2 times. All right, that's pretty important. For DBs, it's going to be triangle on PlayStation 2 times. And we won't really have to use your D lineman, but if you need it to, it is that left stick, not left stick, on the directional pad to the left. So if I said that wrong the first time, I apologize. Linebackers on the directional pad to the right 2 times, directional pad to the left 2 times on the D line, and then your what do you call it? Your DBs on triangle on PlayStation 2 times. Okay. So anyway, I want to get the linebacker to drop. So I'm gonna pull up the global assignments and get him to go into a vertical hook. So there goes your 8-man drop to this side. Take the linebacker away from the down safety and you blitz him. Now, if you do it once, usually it goes to in this case, it's always going to go to this B gap, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Why? Because of the D line's slanting angles. All right. So the quickest way to get this done to make it sound, and this is the part that is going to be a little controversial, I feel like, if people start catching on, is I'm going to have to take an extra step here and take the D line and slant them to the outside. Okay. It doesn't show up if you do it once, but you got to do it twice. Okay. Then you get that double line in the middle with your tackle, okay? And then you blitz your linebacker down. That gets him through the A gap. And I've seen it sometimes work out that this guy will come clean through the A gap because of these assignments. I'm not trying to create a nano pressure, guys. That's not my intention. And I've done it a few times, in practice mode, and I haven't done it in games enough, but it seems like it's about 50-50. All right. So versus the pass versus the run, it's just the run gap. So that's about it. So the only thing I have to add in here is if you are in a three down, if you are calling cover three, okay, so that's Sally Rose, that's the name of the directional call. All right. The first thing you probably should do is to spread your D line. I mean, slant your D line out from the beginning because you're going to need that. All right. Then you go to your global adjustments with your outside linebacker, vertical hook, global adjustments with your linebacker, and blitz them. You have to do that twice. And that's what it's going to look like. Now, from a coverage standpoint, everybody's pretty sound here. You have to user this player, and you are technically the vertical hook, or you are the three receiver hook player. So wherever the third receiver goes, that's where you're going to end up going. Most of the time, they're going to go to the right. So you're just going to pretty much play the middle hook, just kind of leaning over here to the right hand side a little bit, but not too much because you have a vertical hook player. So it kind of does allow you to kind of balance yourself out. If you feel like you don't, versus this type of formation, most of the time everybody's going this way. If both of the running backs swing out to the left, then you're going to start working your hook drop, almost like if you look like this. Okay, it's going to kind of look like that if they go to the left. If they go to the right, it's going to look more like what we had in the original part. Let's just give them a middle read. It's going to be you're going to sit more on this side. All right. So in general, it's a pretty good coverage. Sorry, it's a good defense. I haven't really used it that much. This is not going to be something I use a whole lot. Maybe this is more of a change up on in the second half. Need to get a little pressure, maybe. You're hoping that maybe it comes through clean. All right, so that's pretty much how we use it. So again, the rules are any by two formations. So if I say a formation is something 2 by 1, then you're going to be in cover three seam. Hmm. If I say it's going to be by two, 2 by 2, 3 by 2, okay. And then the last thing is what I've seen so far is like this is actually a coverage that at least it looks like on paper, this is something you can actually run versus 11 personnel. So it's one of those rare coverages that we can kind of mess around with. So here's a 2 by 2 formation, right? You want to run this versus versus 2 by 2 11. That's okay. Now we're not going to be able to necessarily have the best walkout plan on what's happened here. He should be in the box. All right, it's a little screwy there, but he's going through a gap, right? 2 by 2. We're gonna let this thing play out. He's used our basic rules in quarters. We're a three receiver hook player. Okay. Now, if it is a 3 by 1 formation, and let's say, you think a team is trying to spread you out to run, a lot of people do that. And now we're going to call cover three seam. All right. So we're going to make the same adjustments that we talked about. We're going to get our D line and we're going to spread them out. We're going to slant them out. So this does take a little time. You have to kind of know your opponent by this point if you can get these adjustments in. If you get somebody who's quick snapping you, you're not going to be able to get to this. That's kind of what I've noticed. Some of the stuff we're doing here is really going to be good versus guys that do a lot of checks. Okay, guys who don't do a lot of checks, we're going to have to run a little bit of a different style of our offense here. But this is what you want to get to. All right, versus 3 by 1. All right. Now we don't have great. You got to play a guy too who's not necessarily going to be throwing bubbles and cheesing you up. If he is, not a good defense. But let's just go with it. So there's the run play, right? You should be free to make a tackle with your front side backer. We're sending the backside backer. There should be really nobody there to block you. Okay. Let's do it again. Let's see if I can get this done a little bit sooner. I think that's one of the things that, I struggle with a little bit is if you run another defense and then you run this one's not going to be as efficient as you'd like, um, because you might have different rules for another defense. And this one does take a little bit of time. And by accident, I put my guys into hard flat with all that. See? But anyway, I just want to show you the run play, right? I'm pretty much running in there clean. Okay, so that's pretty good. It's a good way. The good thing I like about this defense in general is that it really does give you good run defense against some of the people's just base plays that people think work all the time. 3 down defense in general just makes them have to work for their yards. Compared to the 4 down defense, you're going to have to really be aggressive with your linebackers and play the run out of your front a little bit more. This allows you to be a little more passive and play the pass. So overall, if you do get the setups and everything set up, it actually is a better defense going down the line. All right. All right. So that is Wasp. And if you want to run the version of B, all you have to do is just make the linebacker go through B gap and you can work that out. But pretty much, I'm going to run this at a limited basis. I'm going to run it not that often, so it's going to be more of a gap wasp play. Second half, um, at the bottom of my call sheet, really of things I want to get done out of this package. Okay, all right.